Geothermal, geothermal energy is defined as heat from within the earth that can be used for heating or to generate electricity. Geothermal literally means Earth's heat. As mentioned, there are extreme amounts of heat found at the core of the Earth. In fact, this intense heat is enough to melt rocks, resulting in magma. Magma that reaches the Earth's surface through cracks in the Earth's crust is known as lava. Geothermal policy in the United States started with California Geothermal Source Act of 1967 and the Federal Geothermal Steam Act of 1970. Various states followed defining a geothermal resource as either mineral, water, heat, or a combination of these. Federal incentives began with the Federal Security Act of 1978, which included the investment tax credit, followed by the Utility Regulatory Policy Act of 1979 and the production tax credit. State incentives began with the renewable portfolio standards in the 1990s and various renewable energy credits. Geothermal power plants have several advantages, which include comparatively ecologically clean. Unlike coal-fired power plants, geothermal ones use renewable heat source with a constant supply. Studies have shown that only 6.5% of the total world potential is involved in the industry, which means that energy will last for many years in advance. In addition, the amount of greenhouse gas from geothermal power plants is only 5%, in the contrary with coal-fired power plants. More energy. Geothermal power stations have great capacity. They can greatly help in meeting the demand for energy that goes every year, both in developed and developing countries. Also, the stable prices. Simple power plants depend on fuel, so the cost of their electricity is varying based on the market price of fuel. Since geothermal power plants do not use fuel, they do not need to take into account its cost, and they can offer their customers stable electricity cost. Lower operating costs. Geothermal installation require minimum maintenance compared to conventional power plants. As a result, they are reliable and cheap in operation. Geothermal helps you gain energy independence. Upgrading to geothermal is well worth it because you will never have to rely upon oil deliveries or gas lines. With oil, you are watching the price change every week because of factors that are out of your control, like foreign wars, supply and demand, and current politics. With geothermal, you will never have to worry about rising oil prices and constantly fluctuating gas prices again. Renewable and sustainable sources. Geothermal energy will never end. Unlike non-renewable energy sources, as long as the Earth supports our lives, geothermal energy will exist and geothermal power will work. It is a permanent power supply. Unlike other renewable energy sources, geothermal ones can provide a constant supply of energy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, regardless of external factors. For example, solar panels can produce electricity only during the day, and wind turbines produce energy only with sufficient wind. The Energy Information Administration, an independent agency in the United States Department of Energy, assumes the total overnight capital cost for a new geothermal plant is $2,448 per kilowatt in 2013 dollars. The Energy Information Administration has projected the cost of generating electricity from a new geothermal plant in 2020 to be $4.78 per kilowatt hour, less than a natural gas combined cycle plant.